I was broke, single, and allergic to silence. So I posted an ad. Need a roommate. No drama. Just rent, dishes, and don't touch my bacon. 2 hours later, I got a reply. Female. Clean. Quiet. Will contribute food. Will not attempt dominance. Good scent compatibility. Weird phrasing. But hey, this is Earth post-contact. Aliens are just part of life now. And if one of them wants to split the rent? I'm not picky. She showed up at 4 p.m. on the dot. Just one small bag, a translator disc clipped to her ear, and fur, so much fur. Tallish, slim, with golden-orange fluff covering everything but her palms and the bridge of her nose. Eyes like polished amber. A long tail swayed behind her like it had an opinion of its own. I am Rizali. Your den is acceptable. You have chosen well. Thanks. I didn't know I was being evaluated. All mates evaluate dens before sharing. I laughed. Roommates. Not mates. She cocked her head. Her translator blinked. Room sharing equals bond initiation. Is that incorrect? No mating. Just rent. She padded into the living room like she owned the place, sniffed my couch, then sat cross-legged and nodded solemnly. Your scent is strong here. I will adapt. I stared. Cool. I've got a spare room. Sheets are clean. You can set up there. She blinked slowly. Why 2 rooms? So we don't kill each other in our sleep. She tilted her head again. You invited cohabitation. In Vulpine code, shared space indicates permanent emotional tethering. Bonding begins upon sense saturation. The hell it does. That night, I found her pacing my room with a little jar of wax, smearing it into the corners. What are you doing? Claiming ritual. I softened territorial lines to make our pheromones harmonize. This eases the first week of co-nesting. I'm not nesting with you. But your scent lingers here. It calls me. I considered calling animal control. Instead, I sighed and let her smear whatever she wanted on my doorknob. The next morning, I made toast and coffee. She appeared behind me in an oversized hoodie I definitely hadn't given her. You've prepared the morning offering. It's breakfast. She accepted the buttered toast with reverence and whispered. First nourishment shared. We advanced quickly. She licked the jam from her fingers, then mine. Our bond strengthens. Okay, you need to stop licking me. You consented. You extended your hand. I handed you toast. That's not a proposal. Her tail wrapped around my wrist. In Vulpine tongue, feeding another is an invitation to mutual grooming. I took a long breath. New rule. No licking without warning. She nodded solemnly. Very well. I will warn before tongue contact. That day, I looked her up. Vulpines, tribal, pack-based, fiercely loyal, high-touch culture. Prone to misunderstanding human customs. Known for forming lifelong bonds based on proximity and repeated scent exposure. Apparently, offering them shelter, food, and shared seating was the Vulpine equivalent of writing "Marry Me" in bold red letters. I reread my ad. Need a roommate. No drama. I might as well have offered mating rights and a honeymoon. I got home to find her reorganizing the fridge by pheromone compatibility. You place fermented dairy beside your spicy root paste. This is unacceptable. It's cheese and mustard. They're friends. They will taint one another and confuse our mating signals. There are no mating signals. She stared at me like I'd denied gravity. But we nested. You offered me your burnt bread. You let me touch your laundry. I thought you were just foreign and cold. I am Vulpine. I am bonded. You cannot unsniff what is already sniffed. I blinked. That can't possibly be a real saying. She lifted her tail, primly insulted. It is sacred. I retreated to my room. She followed. Sat on my bed. Began brushing her tail with an ivory comb. Do you require tail touching this evening? No, I require space. She nodded, setting the brush down gently. It is early. You will crave my warmth later. I locked my door. She slid a blanket under it. Next morning, I found her curled on the couch in a fortress of throw pillows, one of my socks clutched to her chest. I feared you rejected the bond. I needed to sleep without a furry person humming lullabies in my hallway. That was my mating song. It was in E minor. You have good ear. Ideal mate. I poured myself black coffee and said nothing. She padded up beside me, steam from her own mug rising gently. You are strong. Generous. Your scent is rich. I could have done worse. Thanks. I will try not to make noise when I brush my fangs. I looked over at her. She had curled her tail around both mugs and rested her head against my arm. This is cozy, she murmured. It's coffee. With awkward. She purred softly. I prefer awkward with cinnamon. I didn't push her off. Because I was broke. And alone. And some part of me didn't mind the company. Even if she thought I'd accidentally married her with toast. It started with the pizza guy. I opened the door, signed the receipt, and turned to grab the box, and nearly lost a finger to a low growl behind me. Rizeli stood there, tail bristled, ears flat, one hand gripping the doorway like she was debating murder by claw. Who's that? She asked, voice barely restrained. Delivery. Mail. Yes? She leaned in, sniffed the air around him like a bloodhound, then looked at me with a narrowed stare. You allow strangers near the den? He brings food. I tip him. This is not a threat. She marched past me, snatched a pizza box, and slammed the door with her tail. We have bonded. There must be limits. He's not competition. He's cheese and dough. Then you offer outsiders tribute? While your mate awaits inside? You're not never mind. Give me the pizza. I already bit your slice. Of course you did. Later that week, I invited a coworker over to help with a project. Female. Nice. Laughs too much. Rix took one look, vanished silently into the bathroom, and didn't come out until the woman left. I found her brushing her tail furiously, ears twitching. You allowed her on the couch. That's nesting territory. She's helping with spreadsheets, not ovulation. Her scent lingers. She wants your warmth. She wants my Excel formulas. That is not what her body language said. I didn't answer. I just went to bed and ignored the soft growling coming from the living room. The next morning, I caught her sniffing my pillow. I calibrate comfort levels. You calibrate like a weirdo. Your scent was weak. I feared you were pulling away. I was at work. Then I must scent your clothes again. Nope. She blinked. Then I will sleep in your shirt drawer tonight. I needed help. I did what any desperate man would do. I hit the forums. Vulpine bonding behavior. Help. Did I accidentally get married? She says sharing food is a mating vow? Replies came fast. Bro. You're screwed. You gave her food? Shelter? Eye contact? You let her touch your laundry? Just admit you're bonded and enjoy the tail cuddles, man. I slammed the laptop shut and reevaluated every past interaction like it was a crime scene. I remembered offering her a soda. Letting her nap on my bed when her room got too hot. Letting her brush my hair, once. Just once. Letting her sit on my lap when she felt small. To her, I was halfway to a honeymoon. To me, I was just trying not to be a bad host. That evening, she was waiting by the door, arms folded. You were late. I scented anxiety for 12 minutes. I stayed late to avoid the awkward. She pulled something from her pocket. A red leather strap braided with strands of silver. What's that? Our union ribbon. Our what? Tradition. I weave part of my fur with yours. We bind it. Wear it until mating completes. Very sacred. I think you're skipping way ahead of the roommate agreement. I never agreed to be a roommate. You offered a den. I accepted your scent. The universe acknowledged us. Do you even know what sarcasm is? Is it edible? I didn't take the ribbon. She looked down, ears low. Have I displeased you? No, you've just confused me into a coma. I can scent confusion. You carry affection too. I carry stress. Same gland. That night, I woke up to find her outside my room, lying on the floor, tail draped over her face like a weighted blanket. You weren't answering. I feared you were cold. Or sick. Or thinking of her. Who? The couch woman. I haven't texted her since you hissed at her purse. She looked dominant. My instincts are strong. I crouched beside her, sighed. I'm not good at this, I muttered. Neither am I. My last bond rejected me after 2-cent cycles. That sounds painful. I chewed his favorite boots. Reasonable. She flicked her tail toward me. Will you allow me to stay? I already said you could. Not just here. Here. She pressed a finger to my chest. Where the real bond rests. You're so intense. I'm Vulpine. We don't do casual. I noticed. We sat in silence. She tucked herself under my arm, like it was the most normal thing in the galaxy. I didn't pull away. She exhaled slowly. Your scent is calming now. Don't make it weird. I already declared war on the pizza guy. It's too late. The weird part? I kind of liked it. I made the mistake of touching her tail. It was accidental. I reached for the TV remote, she turned, and my fingers grazed the soft underside near the base. She froze. Her breath hitched. The room went dead silent. You touched my tail, she whispered. I was trying to. That's basically a proposal. What? Direct base tail contact is a vow of surrender. I was surrendering to Netflix. She stood, fluffed, eyes wide. You must clarify your intent. I have felt your warmth, your scent. You nuzzled my fur. I was stuck on the couch, and you used me as a pillow. You let me use you as a pillow. You didn't push me off. I was afraid of claws. Yet you touched my tail willingly. Bold. Romantic. I touched the remote. She didn't look angry. Worse, she looked pleased. She slipped something onto my wrist. A thin braided ribbon. What's this now? You completed the first 3 signs. The ribbon is the 4th. I don't remember doing the first 3. Feeding me. Letting me share your nest. Protecting me from the doormen. I tip the doormen. I'm not fighting them off with a broom. The details don't matter. The signs are there. I stared at the ribbon. It was warm. Lightly scented like her fur. Definitely not coming off easily. I never signed up for this. You did. You wrote an invitation. You lured me in with hot food and soft furniture. I lured you in with Craigslist. And you welcomed me with kindness. You offered me towels. You fixed my broken charger. You're describing basic decency. To my people, it is sacred courtship. I walked into the kitchen, trying to remember if I'd inhaled cleaning chemicals recently. She followed, barefoot, tail swaying like a smug metronome. You're not going to let this go, are you? Have you met me? I poured cereal. She sniffed it, looked disappointed. Cold food after tail touching? Bold move. I'm feeding myself, not proposing again. She patted away, tail flicking like she'd just been insulted in poetry. Later, I came home from work to find incense burning, lights dimmed, and her sitting cross-legged on a rug made from my hoodies. We must complete the scent ceremony. Is that the thing you said wasn't mandatory? I lied. It's vital. I sat down reluctantly. She held out a brush. I brush your hair. You brush my tail. We bond fully. That sounds deeply intimate. It is. That's why we do it. I thought we weren't doing anything physical. This is spiritual. I took the brush. She closed her eyes. Her fur shimmered like sunset. I brushed once, twice. She let out a noise somewhere between a purr and a war chant. Why does this feel illegal? Because your people are too shy to admit they crave closeness. You make it sound like I'm emotionally starved. You live alone. You microwave most of your meals. You talk to plants. They're easier than people. So am I. I just shed. You cuddle like a heat-seeking missile. You don't stop me. I didn't answer. That night, I tried sleeping alone. I couldn't. Her absence was loud. I tossed, turned, flipped pillows. My body wanted her warmth. Not sexually. Just the quiet press of her fur against my side. The slow rhythm of her breath. Like my system had adapted to her nearness and now rebelled against separation. I found her on the couch, tail over her face again. I sensed your disquiet. You're not wrong. Come back to the nest. I thought it was my bed. It became ours the moment you handed me a blanket. I'm beginning to hate symbolism. She scooted over. I climbed in, pulled the sheet halfway, and sighed. Her tail curled over my leg without asking. This isn't normal. I mumbled. You're not normal. You gave a strange alien your toothbrush holder. I gave you the spare one. That's worse. That means long-term planning. I turned my head. She looked smug again. You smell like comfort now, she said quietly. Is that good? It's addictive. We lay there in silence. My arm under her head, her ears twitching once every few seconds. My heart slowed. My thoughts settled. I'm not ready for whatever this is. You don't need to be. Your body already decided. That's not consent. It's curiosity. That's better. I chuckled. You're manipulative. I'm loyal. You steal my shirts. They calm me. You bit the remote last week. You ignored my mating song. I had to redirect energy. I snorted, trying not to laugh. She pressed her nose against my shoulder. You pretend to resist. But you reach for me in your sleep. I was cold. You murmured my name. That's a coincidence. You drooled. Okay, that one's fair. She exhaled. You'll come around. I might. You will. I didn't deny it. I woke up before her. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't annoyed by the warmth curled against my side. Her tail had wrapped around my leg like a lazy promise. She snored softly, little puffs of breath tickling my collarbone. And I didn't want to move. Something in me had adjusted. Or surrendered. I wasn't sure which. I got up, made 2 cups of tea, one bitter, one with that weird syrup she loved, and sat at the kitchen table waiting. But she didn't come. She wasn't in the bedroom. Not on the couch. Not even under the table where she sometimes napped after stress eating dried meat sticks. I found her in the entryway, her bag packed, hood up, ears down, tail limp. You're leaving? She didn't look up. It's clear I misunderstood. Humans bond differently. I overstepped. I confused convenience with connection. You took over half my wardrobe and sleep like a space heater against my back. You let me. I thought it meant something. It did. Her ears twitched. Then why are you always resisting? Because I don't know what this is. I've never lived with someone who sniffs my shirts and chews mail. Affection is expressed in many forms. You licked my eyelid once. I was testing your trust reflex. I stepped closer. She didn't move. I didn't expect you. I thought I was just getting someone to help with rent. But then you did something no one else ever has. What? You made me feel necessary. She looked up. You are. And I can't sleep without your tail strangling my leg anymore. That's either emotional dysfunction or progress. She unzipped the bag halfway, hesitating. You sound conflicted. I am. I'm human. We live in conflicted mode. But I know I like waking up next to you. I know I like it when you groom my hair and pretend it's just practical nesting maintenance. I know I like it when you call my coffee bitter but still drink it because it's mine. She blinked twice. You have just confessed multiple shared cues. Yeah. Guess I have. She stepped forward and pulled the ribbon from her pocket. One last time. I didn't resist. She tied it around my wrist, then held it up beside hers. We match. You sure this doesn't mean I'm stuck feeding you for life? It does. You sure it doesn't mean your family's going to show up expecting a wedding feast? They already assume we've mated. I knew it. She smiled. Not smug this time. Just soft. We sat on the floor, back to the door, tea forgotten. Her tail looped lazily around my ankle like it belonged there. You ever going to stop calling this a bond? No. Even if I called it something else? Like what? I hesitated. Home. She leaned against me. Same word. Different language. I rested my hand on her tail. This time on purpose. She didn't freeze. She purred. I used to think living alone made me independent, I said. It made you lonely. You really don't hold back, huh? Vulpines don't believe in halves. Clearly. She pulled something from her sleeve. A second ribbon, thinner, braided with a strand of silver thread and something darker, coarser. This one is mine. Real fur. Meant for full recognition. What does that mean? You'll wear it when we declare the bond formally. To who? Anyone who challenges it. I didn't realize I'd need to defend our, whatever this is. Oh, you won't? Her grin widened. I will. I laughed. That's the most terrifyingly comforting thing I've ever heard. I'm yours, she said. You keep saying that. Because you keep needing to hear it. You know humans aren't used to this kind of certainty, right? Then I'll be certain enough for both of us. I looked at the front door, then back at her. You really were going to leave? I was going to spare you. That's different. You never spared me from your weird snacks, your tail shedding, or your night singing. You like my singing. I tolerate your singing. She flicked my nose. You hum along. You're impossible. And you're bonded. I didn't argue. Because I didn't want her to leave. Because the thought of this place without her, without the scent wax, without the ridiculous territorial growling, felt hollow. Because her leaving wasn't space. It was absence. I stood, held out my hand. She took it. You're staying. I already unpacked in my head. That's fast. You move slow enough for both of us. I gave her a look. She winked. That was romantic in my dialect. I pulled her close. Not for warmth. Not for scent mixing. Just because I wanted to. You think we're really bonded? I asked. Emotionally? Biochemically? Spiritually? All of it. She pressed her forehead to mine. You know you are. I did. I just didn't have the words for it. She did. She always had.